Hello, writer friends. Welcome to Let's Write Scripts. I'm Micah Cratty, a WGA screenwriter and the head of writing at Arc Studio, which is the best screenwriting app in the world. There is a link to check it out in the description below if you're looking for a screenwriting app, or you can go to arcstudiopro.com. So this is Let's Write Scripts. What is that? Well, today we're going to be doing 3 timed writing sprints where you can work on your script, and then we'll be chatting about screenwriting in between those sprints, and I'll be answering your questions about screenwriting. We'll be talking about how the writing's going. It's going to be a lot of fun. But before we get into it, I want to know, where are you and what are you writing today? These are our 2 standard questions. There's no surprises here, no curveballs. I want to know where in the world you are and what are you working on today? Are you working on a pilot? Are you working on a feature? Are you working on a short film? And kind of where are you in the process? Or maybe you're doing something else. You could be writing a novel or poetry or essays. Sometimes people like doing other creative work. And sometimes people like joining just from their jobs because maybe they're working from home or they're just doing spreadsheet work or something, or they need some creative energy, so they're tuning in. Whatever it is, you're welcome here. But it is screenwriting that we're focused on here at Let's Write Scripts. So if you are writing a pilot, a feature, a spec script, a short film, anything like that, love to hear what it is that you're working on and like where are you in the process? Are you outlining? Are you revising? Are you writing the first draft? Are you writing some specific scenes? Are you tightening scenes? Are you doing a dialogue pass? Or where, get in the chat and let me know. And then we also have a sort of rotating question, our discussion question to get us in the mood to write, to get those screenwriting, whatever the portion of your brain does screenwriting, to get that warmed up. And today's question is, how do you write the middle of a scene? Last week, we talked about how do you write the beginning of a scene? How do you start scenes? Next week, we'll talk a little about ending scenes. But this week, I want to know, how do you write specifically the middle of a scene? Because I feel like middles are always overlooked. People always talk about how to start things and how to end things, but like the middle is like most of the thing. Most of the scene is the middle of it. That's like where whatever it is happens. So I'll share my thoughts in a little bit, but I want you guys to get in the chat and share your thoughts on how you write the middle of a scene. Any tips, any approaches, any techniques, any things to be wary of, to look out for, to try to accomplish. Get in the chat and let me know. And if you're feeling it, of course, like this video, hit subscribe to the channel, turn notifications on, all that good stuff. And during the second break, of course, I will be showing the sandwich of the week. And if you're wondering what the sandwich of the week is, you're gonna have to wait to this second writing break for that. But it's a pretty good sandwich this week, I have to say. Now, to answer these questions myself, I'm in LA and I'm working on a feature rewrite that I've been working on for a while. It turned into a page 1 rewrite, but I was outlining for a while, I'm re-breaking the story, and now I'm writing the scenes. And that's kind of what's inspired these sort of questions of the week last week, this week, and next week about, beginnings of scenes, middles of scenes, and ends of scenes. So that's kind of what has inspired this. But yeah, no, it's good. I'm kind of into Act 2 now, writing these scenes, and just feeling much more comfortable about this draft of the script. So pretty excited about it. And then I'll share some of my thoughts about middles of the scenes in a bit, but I just want to check in and see you guys. Shoko saw the Odyssey last night and then moved to lock in. Did you see regular? Or did you see IMAX or 70 mil? I haven't seen it yet. All the IMAX screenings in LA are completely sold out, which is like they've been sold out for a long time. Cash is in Arkansas showing up because you have been a while, but have some work to do. All right. Well, good luck on your work. Glad you're here, man. Christian in South Carolina having a big day. I just discovered a new story engine to get me through Act 2. Oh, well, that's exciting. Rev that story engine up and get it going. I love to hear it. Juno's in Massachusetts, working on your book, making solid progress on a new draft. More of that today, I hope. Fingers crossed. Let's keep that energy going. Kelly in Kansas is working on a pitch. Ooh, cool. That's fun. I always hate and kind of love those. It's just so hard sometimes, just because it's the beginning of figuring out a pitch sometimes, or a log line, or any of those kind of things where you're trying to condense something. Just feels so hard because you're just this is so big. There's so many things. How do I get it into one? So just remember just to focus on, you're telling a story. You're just telling a story. I always say, picture you're at a bar or at a coffee shop or just with friends or something, wherever you are, and you're just trying to tell them a story. And it's like a crazy thing that happened to you, or just something, and that's the way you want to tell it. Use those natural storytelling instincts. Worry less about summaries and information and more about telling an exciting story. Diamond in LA, pushing along the first draft of a pilot. Fantastic. Zoe from the Republic of South Africa, seesaw and creativity between a screenplay and a manuscript tonight. Okay, you're dipping into multiple buckets. That's fun. Jesse in NYC revising a comedy pilot. So glad you're here. I don't know anything at the moment. Is a screenwriter from Belgium had a question. How much do we need to keep our theme in mind while writing scenes? Oh, I mean, that's a good question. I would say like you should keep it in mind, but I think there's ways of kind of keeping it in mind where it's not just like what's the theme. Like in terms of, you know, when you're thinking about scenes, a lot of it is like what's the intention, right, of the scene? Like what does the character want? What are they trying to do? What are they trying to accomplish in this scene? And I think an interesting when it comes to theme, it can be a little bit like what's the question, right? Like how is the question of the script being reflected in this scene? Is it getting us closer to an answer to this question? Is it adding more complications on that question? But like how does it interact with that? I think sometimes thinking it in some of these other ways can be a little more helpful because just like, oh my gosh, how do I convey the theme in this scene can be a very big and abstract question. So trying to like bring it down a little bit to thinking about like the character, like what's the character's journey? What are they dealing with? What's the, you know, so oftentimes like with theme, you can think of like the character has one viewpoint at the beginning and over the course of the movie, maybe their view of the world is going to shift somehow. Right. So how is this scene contributing to that shift in their worldview? Right. Something like that, I think sometimes can be more. I feel like I had to babble a while to get to something helpful, but I think that last part I said is actually kind of helpful. Yeah. How does this scene affect the journey or the shift kind of in the viewpoint of the character, or like even in like what the audience thinks this is about, you know, how does this, because scenes are dynamic, right? Scenes are often about change. So like, how is this scene helping that? I think is one way. Now that's writing question. Is there an Arc Studio Discord server? Not an official one. We used to have like a message board kind of thing. But we discontinued it. We might bring it back at some point. I think there's some like unofficial server stuff, but we don't have an official one. Nexus, quick hi since you're attending event, maybe back later, hopefully in time for the sandwich. All right, well, we're all waiting for bated breath for Nexus to like pop back into the chat later. Matt in Central Alaska. That sounds rural. What's the biggest city and how close is it to you? Matt, I want to know. Running a sci-fi feature. I'm in the middle of my first draft, trying to pace it for character development because there's lots of character. It's a military story. Cool, man. Well, good luck. Hope you get some good writing today. Pam in New Mexico. Still working on your rom-com drama. Midpoint of the story. The scene needs to reach its main point or pin it. Oh, great. Yeah. That's someone's responding actually to the question of the week, which is how do you write the middle of the scene? And so you said, I think it's like a midpoint of any story, right? The scene needs to reach its main point or pinnacle to lead to the exit. That's cool. That's one of the things that I wanted to mention about, yes, the middle of scenes is to keep the end point in mind and aim towards the end point. Like, what's the end point of your scene? And once you're in the middle, like, aim towards it, right? Like, get there. Because one of the problems with scenes oftentimes in the middle is they kind of meander and they feel kind of soggy and meaningless. That's not to say every scene has to be like very tight, you know, and every scene has to be very like focused. Sometimes a scene can meander a little bit because that has to do with like the kind of movie you're right, you know, like it could be a kind of a very slow paced kind of movie, an introspective kind of movie, more of an artistic kind of movie. But like in general for scenes, yeah, keeping the end point leading to the exit. How am I going to get from here to there? That's a good thing on scenes. No IMAX in Ireland. Oh my gosh. Did St. Patrick get rid of the IMAX back when he got rid of the snakes? Little Ireland joke for you there. All right. So another question. Middle of the scene. I ask if there has been a change since the beginning. Is a conflict in progress? What are the stakes? Are they clear? What's the path to resolution? I think that's really great stuff. Yeah. Scenes are often, we kind of talked about this a little bit with the other question. I was talking about how you reflect theme, but like there is a turn oftentimes in the middle of a scene or some sort of change, but the turn can be helpful in that often the world at the beginning of the scene is different from the world at the end of the scene. And I don't mean that like in a planet exploded, but just like some small thing has changed. The world, like our understanding of the world, the character's understanding of the world, their circumstances, their the distance they have to their goal. Something often has shifted between, the relationship between two people has improved, has gotten worse, has become surprising. And so the middle often time of the scene is where that turn is, right? Where like you have kind of the setup and then something changes there. And yeah, I like that also. The conflict is another thing too, that you have, the sense of conflict, obstacles, disagreement, friction, often that comes in the middle of a scene too, because, if the scene is about change, there's going to be some sort of resistance to that, some sort of friction from your protagonist or from the other characters or from the world. But like, yeah, that sense of friction is great. And stakes. Yes. You have so many good things in here, Juno. The stakes, are they clear? There's some change. What happens when we talk about scenes, we often talk about like, what does the character want in this scene, right? So David Mamet has like his 3 questions. Who wants what for every scene? 3 questions. Who wants what? What happens if they don't get it? And why now? And what happens if they don't get it is the stakes, right? So like someone wants something in a scene. What happens if they don't get it? What are the stakes here? Like, what's the consequences of that? And that really gives some bite to your scene, which is great. And the path to resolution, yeah, that's kind of what we were talking about earlier, that sense of aiming towards the ending. That's great. Great stuff, Juno. Let's see here. Aquarian Girl from Boulder. Hola, buenos dias. Glad you're here. Or actually, buenos tardes. Okay, Fairbanks. That's not. I guess I was picturing you in like a tiny cabin in like a mountain somewhere, but that's not that, crazy. Hi, everybody. Sad Hope. So glad you're here. Zoe, and for the question about middles, kind of simple, but I like to focus on shifting the mood or emotional temperature of the scene, adding obstacles, making my character's goals hard to achieve. Yeah, that's great. That's kind of another example of this thing of talking about like the shift, the turn, the friction, something happening in that middle of a scene. It really it helps gain momentum towards the next scene. It really is like a little, like there's in certain video games where you're like driving and then your car, and then you'll get to one of those like boosty things that make you go faster. Or if you ever had like a Hot Wheels track when you were younger, there was that little thing with the spinny wheels that like your car would get, and then would you get shot faster? Like that's kind of what these like mood shifts, turns in the middle of scenes, they do. They kind of accelerate the reader or eventually the viewing audience forward. They could make them lean in. Change is interesting. These shifts are interesting, and that kind of helps you build momentum to the next scene. So that's awesome. So I like that. Would you recommend me writing in Dutch since I live in Belgium, or just in English since the chances of selling overseas seem more likely? I can't really tell you that. I don't really know like the Belgian film market or anything, and I'm not sure your comfort in English, like, so I can't give you a definitive answer. I think you should tell the story like that you best want to tell, like in the language that you can best tell it. And I realize that kind of sounds like a kumbaya, answer, but like I think it's true. It's just like, yeah, the best story you can, the best way you can tell it. I think. Matt, North Dakota expresses my question. How do you do quick character development so the audience can care about them for a company of soldiers in a short amount of time? You know what? That's a good question, but we're going to save that for the next writing break because it's kind of a little off our intro topic. But that's a good question. So after the first writing break, Matt, we're going to talk about that because that's a little different subject, but it's worth talking about. All right. So yeah, I kind of mostly shared what I wanted to say. Oftentimes, right, the beginning of a scene is presented a question or a goal, and the middle of the scene is the pursuit, right? It's like where they're trying to do the thing, that they're doing. So there's a sense of doing, right? A sense of action. And I don't mean action like in fighting, but like they are taking there's effort. They're trying to accomplish whatever the point of this scene is. And that could be sometimes like them being active because they're trying to make something happen, or it can mean them trying to sort of fighting because the world's trying to change something, right? The world's trying to do, you can think of it like, for instance, we just talked about like a soldier, right? A military movie. It could be them trying to take an objective, or it can be someone trying to take their objective, right? Like, but there's resistance either way. Either your character not either. Often your character is either trying to change something or in the world, or the world is trying to change something about your character. So that there's that sense of resistance and friction in the middle of a scene. And we talked about turns and change, but like one thing just to say, there are different kinds of turns and changes, and one of them is a twist, right? Something the character didn't expect can be interesting. Something the audience didn't expect, something that sort of changes the way of like the way we see the world, the way we understand the world. Anything that just kind of feels like the world, I always in my mind picture it as like the world sort of rotating slightly, that like this is the world, but then suddenly it just like imagine the entire room just like spinning a little bit, and like suddenly we're in a different world. That's what these moments can kind of do in a really interesting way. And of course we also talked about aiming towards the ending, set up that thing at the end that you want, because that's what we're going to talk about next week, ending. And Matt, sorry, you are in a cabin in the mountains in a tiny town. Here for writing, hope to fish for scripts so I can start pitching them. Blacklist is the best place to start. That is a good, that's a good place. All right, so fantastic. Glad you are all here. Good discussion. We're going to get into the first writing sprint. So if you're new and you're wondering like how this works, we do timed writing sprints. So in just a minute, I'm going to mute myself, shrink off into the corner. There'll be a timer counting down on screen, play some vibey music. And during the writing sprint, is just work on whatever you need to work on. We're all on different projects at different like parts of the project. So they're not, I don't give like guided prompts, but if you are looking for some sort of guidance, do maybe something of what our discussion about middle of scenes. Maybe there's something in there that can help you work on something if you're not exactly sure what to write. And then after that, sprint, we'll come back. We'll talk about how it went. I'll answer some more questions. It's going to be great. This first writing sprint is only 15 minutes. It's kind of a warm up. And I do like to think of it as the warm up sprint, like very low pressure, very low bar, for the sprint. There's another good question on formatting. We'll get for I don't know anything at the moment. I'll save that for the next break as well. But 15-minute sprint. It's a warm-up. Oftentimes you're free writing. Oftentimes you're reading over what you were working on before, just trying to get your head in the creative zone. And if you're ready to go, then just like you can jump in and just like go for it. But I always like to lower the bar on the first sprint. That's why it's only 15 minutes. The second sprint's 25 minutes. It's just for 15 minutes for the sprint. Like whatever, just like just chill. Just we're here to write, have a good time. But I'm gonna get the music going, and then we will catch up on the other side. Talk about how our writing went. I'm so glad y'all are here. It's been a great energy so far. So let's take that energy and let's write. Perfect. All right, catch you guys on the other side. Let's go. Click the wrong button. All right, that is the end of the first writing sprint here on Let's Write Scraps. I love hearing you all just like shout that in unison across the entire globe, just like the sound waves carrying, bouncing up on the ionosphere. What a beautiful, magical thing. This is Let's Write Scripts. If you just joined during that writing sprint, this is a weekly live streamed YouTube show about screenwriting where we do timed writing sprints. I answer questions about screenwriting. We talk about how our writing's going. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's brought to you by Arc Studio Screenwriting Software. You can check it out at arcstudiopro.com. It's the screenwriting software that I use. It's fantastic. arcstudiopro.com, where there's a link in the description. But if you were doing that sprint, I want to know, how did it go? How was the writing going today so far? Are the muses with us? Have they shown up early? Did they get some time off from appearing in the Odyssey? I'm actually not sure if the muses are in the Odyssey, but they are from Greek mythology, so it seems like the reference works slightly. But are the muses with you? Are the ideas flying? Is the stories developing? Are the characters developing? So many things develop in screenwriting. We say developing so many, like in so many different contexts. But yeah, how is the writing going? Or no, are the muses stuck trying to get tickets to see the Odyssey in IMAX and are just refreshing their computers, and they've forgotten to kind of help you write? And if there's anything specific that you're struggling with in your screenwriting, please. And the poem opens with homeward dressing the muse. So yeah, it works. Definitely. That's right. I knew that. Yeah, if there's something specific that you're struggling with and you're writing some question about it, there's a couple from before the sprint that I want to address. But if you have other questions, please get in the chat and let me know. And good to see a couple people that joined. Brian from Jacksonville working on his graphic novel. Haley, glad you're here. So a couple questions. So Matt asked, how do you do quick character development so the audience can care about them for a company of soldiers in a short amount of time? Yeah. So this is very common in ensemble films, right? With like military films will be like this too, or like a sports movie where there's like a bunch of teammates, or like it's a theater production and there's a bunch of castmates. Anything where there's kind of like a lot of people together, and you have to kind of try to get to know them very quickly, will face this kind of problem. So I mean, one thing you can do obviously is you want to like make them, well, there's a couple things. One, don't worry about like necessarily having to introduce everyone all at once. Like here's like on a page, here's 10 different people and say all their names. Like you can break it up a little bit, have a couple people be there, have a couple more people arrive. Like making things dynamic can make it more interesting than just like, here's 10 people, and we're just going to get all of their names right now. It's like, are we actually going to remember all those names? So try to break it up and have some dynamic things, right? Two people are talking. They call over a third person who like is talking, and two more people show up, and then like blah, 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 like someone has news. Like, so you can make it kind of dynamic, just kind of introducing characters. Another thing is like, you want to make them distinct, right? Like give them distinct personalities. This is just like very quick, but like someone's the jokester, someone's very serious, someone's got like a rash from the heat, and they're sweating and stuff. Someone has a problem. Their canteen has a hole in it and they're trying to get water. Someone, like just try to give like a distinct thing, struggle kind of a thing. And then there's sort of like some classic things, right? So like, and this is sort of we would call this like first pitch theater or first thought theater kind of, but like one of the soldiers is holding a photo of his fiance and she's pregnant, man, and I got to get home. And it's like, oh, we're invested. So like, there's things you can do like that. Like, I'm not saying necessarily you should have someone looking at a photo of their fiance or something, or like someone's doing the video chat back home with their family and you can see they love them, like you try to make them more than just like soldier, or more than just athlete if it's a sports, or more than just actor if it's like a local theater production kind of, right? Like what's their thing? What do they care about? What do they want? What are they worried about? If you can kind of get what those things are, like what they're worried about, what they care about, what they want, what they're like, those kind of things, those are very like in giving them human things, like if there's someone who is really terrified of like, they had a very bad experience on their last mission and they're terrified of like just going back out there again and they're trying to hold it together, that's something that's interesting and that you can kind of hint at. If there's someone who's got just this sense that like, I am, the next bullet's for me. Like they're just sort of convinced that they're doomed for some reason, right? But another character is convinced they're kind of immortal. Like something crazy happened out there, and they're like, I think I'm immortal. Like just try to give them things like that to make them interesting, make them unique, make the audience kind of care about what they're going through or be interested in them or be kind of surprised by them. Don't just make them all like, yes, sir, no, sir. Oh, you know what I mean? I guess stuff like that. Hopefully some of that helps. I don't know anything said, do we write scene transitions in screenplays or those for the director? Like show someone sitting in a car going to their destination, or do we just cut to the destination? When you first started that, asked about scene transitions, I thought you were asking about like using like cut tos and stuff like this, but I see what you're saying. So sort of like transitional scenes. So someone's at home and they're going to work. Do you see them driving on the freeway, or do you just cut to them at work? Well, if you watch movies and TV shows, you will notice a lot of things where they're at home and they're just at work. And you'll notice a lot of times where they're at home, then they're in their car, and then they're at work. You could do either way. So there's no, are you supposed to? It's all intention. What are you trying to do? So let me give you an example. Someone is late for work and they're at home and they're getting ready. And the next scene, you see them stuck in traffic and they are very frustrated because they're late. And this is going to make it work. They have an important meeting to get to in this traffic, or they're honking their horn. They're trying to get there. Then you cut to them at work. And now you have all of that emotion from that driving scene, all that frustration with them as they burst in, And so that is different. You use that scene for something, right? Or sometimes it's just like the rhythm of it. Like maybe it's a character detail because they're at home and then they're riding their bicycle and they're through the city, and we're like, oh, we kind of thought that they were going to be driving, but we're seeing them on their bicycle and they're like listening to music and vibing out, and like we're getting to know the character a little bit through that thing. And then they show up to work, right? And they're the only one who rides their bike, and everyone else is like, you're weird, and they're just like, oh, I love it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like there is no should or supposed to. It's all your intention. You can do whatever you want. So like it's just asking like, what are you using that for? Like, what are you trying to do? Do you like the pacing more if there's this scene? Is there something that happens in that scene? Is it a mother and a child at home, or a parent and a child at home, and then they're taking their kid to school? Do we show them driving together because it's complete silence? And the parent kind of maybe tries to say something, but can't. And then they're at school and they're dropping off and the kid just bolts out. And okay, now we've used that beat in the car to show the strain in their relationship. Maybe the parent referenced something that the kid used to be into, or a song came on and the kid's like, I haven't listened to that song in 5 years, like that was a kid song. And it's like, oh, now we use that beat to show that this parent is struggling to deal with their kid's transition to becoming a teenager. And they're like, oh, you're like, like I was comfortable with you as a little kid, but now you're turning into a grown-up and I don't, so there's 1,000 million billion things that you can do. And I've probably talked about this question too much, but I hope that helps. Like that's just kind of, you could use these scenes for whatever you want, but it's your intention, it's what you want to do. All right, let's see here. Sprints. Juno had a slowish sprint, but to start, but we understand the muses are busy right now, but they're going to come later, I think. Jonette. I don't know where the one word name starts and the other ends here. I'm just going to say Jonette or Jonatil or Jonatil. I don't know. I like to say my story's developing. I am rewriting as a short that I would like you to make of a feature. Fantastic. I mean, that's what stories do. They develop. Kelly's also having slowish. Yes, do something to make them more uniform. Oh, great. Glad that helps. Jesse, sometimes I worry it seems bloated, especially the dialogue, so I start to hit it down. But then I worry I've distilled it too much and it feels rushed. Any suggestions on finding that balance? Oh, man, that's a good question. That happens so much when you're cutting it down and you're like, oh, now it's too close to the bone and it doesn't feel alive. Honestly, revisions on that one, and it's just feeling it out. Like the fact that you felt that it's too close, now you go back and you flesh it out a little bit. Like sometimes you go too far and then you can pull back. So I think this is a really helpful, like in process thing. In this kind of stuff, you just realize like you can write more than one draft. You can write 5 drafts. You might write, I mean, like, so don't worry about nailing it all in that first draft. The first draft, it's too bloated. Then you go through and you trim it down and you're like, oh, this is wrong. But like in that, you learn like what's it missing, right? And then you go back and you add that element of it. So it's okay to go too far sometimes because you can always go back and put more in. Oh, this is a great, yeah. Aliens is a good movie to watch for an example of how they introduced the soldiers in the beginning. I was fully interested in all of them from the get-go. Yeah, also Alien too, where they're not soldiers. They're, basically intergalactic truck drivers. But you have like the 2 guys who are just like, they're just asking about the bonus situation. And you're just like, oh, these guys just care about, they just want their money, right? Like they're just like, there's these things. It's like, what do they care about? And it is Jonette. Okay, great. Christian had a good outlining sprint, working in 10-page sections, outline pages. All right, you're kind of going back and forth. That's cool. Anthea is writing a blog on musical biopics. Tough one since you actually wrote one. Oh, that's cool. Musical biopics can be fun. It's always interesting though, because it's like, I feel like those break down into 2, right? You have like the jukebox ones that are box ones, which are basically like, this is just an excuse to do all these songs and we're going to have like some story between. And then there's the ones that are like more the drama or the comedy of it. And then like the songs are actually spices, and both can be fun. All right, cool. That was a great break and a great sprint. We're going to move on now to the second writing sprint, the 25-minute writing sprint. This is like, I call it the Goldilocks sprint because it's just right. You're warmed up from the first sprint and you're not too tired, like maybe in the third sprint. So we're going to keep going. 25 minutes on the clock. We'll do some more chatting, answer some more questions on the other side, and I'll show the sandwich of the week. And yeah, this is great. It's so funny. I'm always, if you like look at the video of me, I feel like the very beginning, and then me now, I'm just like energetic because I love talking to you guys about this stuff. So 25 minutes on the clock. Let's get the music going and catch you guys on the other side. Right. All right, and that brings us to the end of the second writing sprint, the 25, 20, I can't speak, the 25-minute writing sprint here on Let's Write Scripts. Fantastic. If you just joined, this is Let's Write Scripts, a weekly live stream show about screenwriting, where we do screenwriting, talk about screenwriting, learn about screenwriting, answer questions about screenwriting, all that good stuff. Brought to you by Arc Studio screenwriting software. Check it out at arcstudiopro.com. If you did that sprint, which I call the Goldilocks sprint because it's just right, it's the middle sprint, you're warmed up but not too tired. Was it actually just right for you? Did the writing go well? Were you struggling with anything? Did things go, were the ideas flowing? If the first one was slow, were you warmed up? Did you like solve some problems, turn some corners? Or did things continue to be hard, or did you struggle with anything? Things go for the worst. And if there is something you struggled with in particular, feel free to ask a question about it. Get in the chat. Love answering questions. We had some really good discussion last chat as well. So yeah, love to get in there and chat a little bit more. Any questions, but please, yeah, let me know how it went. Regardless, I'd love to hear how your writing went on that sprint. We will be back next week again at 1 p.m. Pacific here on the Arc Studio Screenwriting YouTube channel. And I am looking forward to it. I mean, look forward to it every week. Let's see here. Haley had a question. I'm having a murky moment between knowing if my midpoint is really the turn into Act 2. Maybe if I move the action of the midpoint up, I can cram in more action. Well, usually the midpoint's in the middle of Act 2. And you have the inciting incident kind of taking you into Act 2. But yeah, maybe if I move the action in the midpoint up, I can cram in more action. I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say because I don't know exactly what your script is, but like cramming in more action just kind of for the sake of that is, I don't know. I mean, follow the contours of your story. If you have any more specifics about it a little bit, maybe I can help. It's kind of hard to say based on what you said. I will just say though that the midpoint would be more in the middle. And I like to think of midpoints. By the way, I did an entire video on midpoints if you haven't watched it yet. It's on this YouTube channel. I'm looking at Parasite and talking about midpoints and what they can do and kind of their structural role. So that might be my answers to check out that video. You're working on a med thriller that has political manipulation implications. Ooh, that sounds fun. Amy Haas is here, just joined in the middle of moving, so no writing lately. Oh my gosh, I had to move a couple months ago, and it is the worst. I hate it so much. And you always underestimate it. The amount of just the amount of stuff you have, and how long it takes, and the cleaning and the boxing and the moving and oh my god, it's a thing. So you have a full pardon from me on the no writing lately because I totally get it. Brian was working on character personalities in that sprint. Cool. All right, so I'm going to show the sandwich of the week. And if you're wondering what that is, every week here on Let's Write Scripts, I show the best looking and often best tasting sandwich that I made that week. It's something we look forward to here on Let's Write Scripts, something I used to do earlier in the show, but then people got hungry and distracted and it didn't help their writing. So now we save it to right before the last sprint. But here it is. This is the sandwich of the week on a beautiful rustic baguette. I love also that this looks like a 30-foot long saltwater crocodile compared to my tiny head next to it right here. But this was on a rustic baguette with garden tomatoes, turkey, pickle, lettuce, avocado, mayo, mustard, and just I love also you can see kind of the stripes in the tomato on this from the garden tomatoes. They are just beautiful, just eating them like apples with salt. And yeah, the baguette just looks so crunchy and great, and the dusting of flour and so much personality. So this was a very solid sandwich. I've been doing a little more baguette sandwiches, and some greens in there, some spinach in there as well. Yes, the sandwich. The baguette looks legit, I think there's a problem with as Americans, I know Europeans are oh, Americans don't have bread, because all they know is we have sandwich bread. Germans are famous for saying Americans don't have bread. We actually do, but it's just you have to get it at the grocery store. So this is from a little bakery fancy store in my neighborhood. But if you get farmers markets, or bakeries, you get a nice rustic loaf. I mean, oh, it's so good. It's fantastic. Yeah, I love the close up. This is just like a great. It's just I love how this looks. This thing looks like it's like 30 feet long or something in this, which is great. It's been great. And Nexus, you did make it in time. Wow, perfect timing to get back for that sandwich. The tomatoes are so beautiful. My wife says that like you can see the entire universe in them, like when they're ripe, when it's really good. And on the writing, Jeanette's actually having a good writing thing to get away from sandwiches for a moment. Yeah, garden tomatoes. And that is the sandwich. It is fantastic. So anyways, the sandwich is smiling a little bit, like it's curled up on the ends. I can see that. I can see that. I do though. I kind of see it as like a crocodile's mouth going that way. I think a little bit. Anyways, all right. That is the sandwich of the week here on Let's Write Scripts. Yeah. Any other questions? If anyone wants to get in the chat, and yes, totally. I see the crocodile in that sandwich too. Any other questions? Anything you want to? I don't know if I missed anything. I think I kind of got all the questions that were in here. But if anyone has anyone else, any more questions you want to ask about, we had some really good discussion. I liked that about characters and scenes, cutting down scenes. Yeah. Let's see here. Matt's writing another thing about a bank heist, Mexico City, but they've been done to death. So how to make it unique? I changed the plot, but don't leave me alone. So I want to write it. Yeah, I mean, the bank. Look, a heist movie is a heist movie. So I mean, you can have some really unique, interesting approach to it. So like think of was it Inside Man that like did a heist movie, and it's just like a very different kind of heist movie, or Ocean's 11. Like both of those are movies about like misdirection, which kind of made them like really interesting. Like you didn't know what was happening kind of until the end, and you thought it was one thing. So I think it's kind of like when you're doing a heist movie, it's like what kind of it is? Is it like the town, that kind of like bank robbery, more like Boston tough kind of thing, about betrayal and like kind of self-destruction? Is it more of like a magic trick kind of heist movie? Or like what kind of story do you want to tell? Because there's a lot of different ones, but it's also just like, you have the one, which is the one where it's Denzel, or the one, I can't remember who it was, but like he's doing it because his kid needs surgery or something, like finding the character story in it is also like the way to set it apart. Because like a heist movie is a heist movie in a lot of ways, but like the story you're telling isn't necessarily the same. Like, why are these people doing it? What kind of choices is it going to force them to make? What's it going to like force them to face about themselves? I love heist movies. Yeah, I love, Michael Mann made one of the greatest of all times in LA, not too far from me. And so it's just like, what's the story you're trying to tell? And that's really what it is. And like the mechanics of it aren't necessarily as important unless it sort of ties into the type again, like if you're doing like a misdirection kind of thing. Anyways, that's what I'll say about heist movies. I could talk a lot about heist movies, but I love it. All right, we're going to do one final sprint here, unless anybody else has a final question they want to get in before I'm going to have a sip of water and give you the chance to send your question in. And I missed this from Pam. Yeah, it is much better to grow your own produce these days. There's some risk to buying lettuce in particular. But all right, let's get into the final writing sprint. 10 minutes on the clock. I'm so glad you all are here. If you have to leave, please say farewell. No worries, just say farewell in the chat. This is a show up when you want, leave when you need to kind of a thing. So I'm gonna get the music going here. 10 minutes on the clock. Again, say farewell if you need to. If you have to go, let me know how the writing went. And if you stick around, we'll say our final farewells at the end. But we're going to do a little quick 10-minute sprint here to finish things up. But it's been awesome. So glad you guys are here. I've got some good writing done. I've learned some things. So 10 minutes on the clock. You guys ready to do a little bit more writing? I think so. Let's do it. There we go. 10 minutes. Here we go. All right. That is the end of the third writing sprint and the end of Let's Write Scripts for Wednesday, July 22nd. Thank you all so much for being here. Give yourself a big round of applause for taking this time for your writing. It's really awesome. We need this time. We're writers. We need to make time to write. Please don't let this be the only time, though, that you write this week. Try to find other times. Mornings are great. Evenings are great. Whenever you can find time. Just like really feed that creative self that you have. Again, we'll be back next week, 1 p.m., Wednesday, July 29th, 1 p.m. Pacific, same time here on the channel. I hope you all are here. Yeah, that is about it. I think no special announcements. So I'll just see you guys next week. Until then, please be kind to yourselves and happy writing, everybody. Can't wait till next week. See you later.